Good evening, Little Masters, and welcome to episode 251 of the Prancing Pony Podcast, where we can stand wherever we'd like, but we mustn't stand here.
What, you think staring at the creepy, glowing, revolving tower filled with orcs and Nazgul might be a bad idea?
Yeah, maybe.
I guess, maybe. Well, folks, go ahead and pull up a bench in the common room. I'm Sean Marchese, the Lord of the Mark, and I'm here with the Man of the West, who only occasionally gives forth a faint, sickening charnel smell, Alan Sisto.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. Recording Night is also Taco Night. I think we know where the odor of rottenness is coming from, and it is Texas.
You can't prove anything.
Folks, tonight we are going to be looking for a fixer-upper in a city known for its glowing towers and flowery meads.
Yeah, well, apparently the agents didn't say anything about how the glow is really more like a corpse light, and the flowers, well, I think we've covered that.
I think we have.
Folks, here at the Prancing Pony Podcast, we are reading and talking our way through Tolkien's stories of Middle-earth a few pages at a time.
We dive into the details, we point out connections to other writings, and talk about our favorite themes.
But we also make sure we have a lot of fun along the way. So we're super glad you've joined us.
And we know you'll be glad you joined as well. But before we get into the chapter, it's time for fans' forever favorite, Philology Fair. I'm running out of Fs, Sean.
There was more Fs in that intro than the Silmarillion, actually. Fans' forever favorite, Philology Fair, Feanor, Fingolfin, Finarfin.
That's what I should do next time.
Yeah.
It's time for Finarfin's favorite Feanor friend, Philology Fair.
That's right.
Oh, man. All right. What do we have tonight? What charming word are we going to discuss tonight?
It's such a charming word. You have no idea. It's a lovely sounding word, and it's a word with a lovely meaning.
I can't wait. I need a little hope, a little pleasant, a little lifting up, especially as we go into this dark place.
Then you might want to skip ahead about 4 minutes.
Uh-oh, what are we doing?
All right. Later in this episode, we're going to see a very unpleasant description of the white flowers of the Morgul Vale.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave forth a faint, sickening charnel smell.
Oh, yes.
So somebody out there is probably wondering, well, what is a charnel smell?
Mm-hmm.
Well, hold on to your lunch, folks, because
Please,
we're going to tell you.
Hold on tight.
I mean, to be honest, in my personal opinion, it's already a pretty gross sounding word on its own. Charnel.
Charnel.
It's not a pleasant word to say.
No.
And the fact that it's described as sickening and equated to an odor of rottenness in the book, well, that sure doesn't make it any more appealing.
That's true. It does give it some nice context, though.
It does. It's one of those that you could probably figure out it's not something nice, even if you don't know exactly what it is.
But you're going to tell us exactly what it is, aren't you?
Bet I am.
Oh, man, I'm going to want to tune out for this.
That's right. What is it exactly? So the etymology of the word is from French. The French version of it is something like charnel or carnel. There's a couple of different spellings of it, both of which come from Latin carnale, which means flesh house.
I'm sorry, wait a minute. Flesh house.
That's correct, sir.
We just got done talking about Trixie and Precious. At the VIP room at the Flesh House? Is that like
exactly,
the name of a really bad club that you don't want to go to?
No, you do not want to go to the Flesh House.
No, you do not. Well, tell us why, because I suspect it's for a different reason than I was thinking.
It's not what you're thinking. It's not that kind of
I'm thinking it's for things that you need antibiotics for. I think the actual answer is a lot worse.
It is a lot worse. So this word first appeared in English in 1377. It appeared in the famous allegorical poem by William Langland, Piers Plowman.
Mm-hmm.
But the root in Latin is basically the word for flesh or meat. Carne, carna.
Oh, yeah.
And that appears in a lot of different words in English that are either directly or indirectly related to meat or flesh. So, carnivore, carnal, incarnate, carnival, believe it or not. And of course, the ever popular carne asada.
Of course.
So, okay, if you're tracing it back to that Latin root, you're thinking, okay, what is this, like a rotten meat smell, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe, but probably not, because it's actually worse than that. Because a charnel house is not a butcher shop, it's not a meat packing plant, it's nothing like that.
No, like Sean said, it is not a butcher shop or a meat packing plant. It is worse than that. It is far worse than that. It is actually a vault or building where human corpses or bones are stored.
That's right.
So, you see, in the Middle Ages, sometimes a grave could only be dug at certain times of year, climate conditions, right? It's super cold. You can't dig into the ground. Or sometimes the unavailability of grave diggers to get the job done. They weren't paying very much, I imagine. In times and places where that was the case, bodies would be stored in a charnel house until the conditions. I'm sorry, this is so disturbing. I'm having to laugh to try to get through it. This is like the foundation of a terrible horror story. But bodies would be stored in a charnel house until the conditions were right for a more permanent grave to be dug. Now, one might also leave corpses in a charnel house for long enough to decompose enough to be sure they were dead. Because, sadly, burying people who not quite dead, or almost dead, or only mostly dead, was not uncommon.
No, it wasn't, sadly.
So sometimes they would throw them in the charnel house, and as long as they didn't wake up screaming from the terrible nightmare of being in the charnel house, they knew they were dead.
Yep.
Sometimes, though, charnel houses would also serve a purpose very similar to an ossuary. Now, that's a repository for bones. So the body would be buried in a graveyard first, and then later on, the remains would be exhumed to make space for new bodies, and those remains would be placed in a charnel house after they were more decomposed. Oh, I feel
Which
terrible.
Actually sounds...
I hope nobody is eating a lunch while they're listening to our show today.
We told them to hold on to their lunch.
We did.
We warned folks. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that latter version of the charnel house actually sounds more pleasant because, the body would have been decomposed and then it's just bones at that point. That first version of a charnel house, that's just disturbing. I mean, that's got to be disgusting.
Deeply disturbing.
I mean, just like a big building full of like rotting corpses.
The stench.
Yeah.
Oh,
it has to be horrible. And my gosh, do you want to be the guy who's on charnel house?
No.
Okay, you're burying the bodies that have been stored in the charnel house since last January.
Do
you want that job? I certainly don't want that job.
I do not want that job. No wonder it was hard to find grave diggers because it was probably them that had to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, interesting thing about charnel houses, from the research that I did online, they don't seem to have been terribly common in England.
Okay.
They were quite common in the rest of Europe. And in fact, some of these places, particularly the ones that were more like ossuaries, a lot of these places are still common tourist attractions today. You can go and you can see, like walls of skulls and things like that, which is, morbid, but also kind of cool because it can actually be quite
interesting,
beautiful in a disturbing way.
Wow. So yeah, as if that's not creepy enough, folks, a charnel smell then is a smell of death or of rotting flesh.
And that's the smell coming from these flowers.
Yeah, that is a rank. Oh,
yeah,
so unpleasant.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that to me, it just screams inspired by World War I. It
does, doesn't it?
It's got to be the kind of thing that Tolkien just smelled this when he was out there.
The fields would have smelled of death. Yeah, No Man's Land would have absolutely smelled of rotting flesh. Horse bodies as well as human corpses.
Yeah, very unpleasant.
So disturbing. I'd like to say the rest of this episode won't be as unpleasant, but we are heading to Cirith Ungol.
We are, and we're going to be talking more about these stinky flowers a little later. So
yes, we will.
Hopefully we've gotten all the scary stuff out of the way.
I hope so.
But for now, why don't we go ahead and get into the chapter? Alan, you're going to get us started here right at the beginning, aren't you?
Yes, I will. Gollum was tugging at Frodo's cloak and hissing with fear and impatience.
"We must go," he said. "We mustn't stand here. Make haste."
Reluctantly, Frodo turned his back on the west and followed as his guide led him out into the darkness of the east. They left the ring of trees and crept along the road towards the mountains. This road, too, ran straight for a while, but soon it began to bend away southwards, until it came right under the great shoulder of rock that they had seen from the distance. Black and forbidding it loomed above them, darker than the dark sky behind. Crawling under its shadow, the road went on, and rounding it, sprang east again and began to climb steeply. Frodo and Sam were plodding along with heavy hearts, no longer able to care greatly about their peril. Frodo's head was bowed. His burden was dragging him down again. As soon as the great crossroads had been passed, the weight of it, almost forgotten in Ithilien, had begun to grow once more. Now, feeling the way become steep before his feet, he looked wearily up. And then he saw it, even as Gollum had said that he would, the city of the Ringwraiths. He cowered against the stony bank. A long tilted valley, a deep gulf of shadow, ran back far into the mountains. Upon the further side, some way within the valley's arms, high on a rocky seat upon the black knees of the Ephel-Duath, stood the walls and tower of Minas Morgul. All was dark about it, earth and sky, but it was lit with light. Not the imprisoned moonlight welling through the marble walls of Minas Ithil long ago, tower of the moon, fair and radiant in the hollow of the hills. Paler indeed than the moon ailing in some slow eclipse was the light of it now, wavering and blowing like a noisome exhalation of decay, a corpse light, a light that illuminated nothing. In the walls and tower windows showed, like countless black holes looking inward into emptiness. But the topmost course of the tower revolved slowly, first one way and then another, a huge ghostly head leering into the night. For a moment, the three companions stood there, shrinking, staring up with unwilling eyes. Gollum was the first to recover. Again, he pulled at their cloaks urgently, but he spoke no word. Almost he dragged them forward. Every step was reluctant, and time seemed to slow its pace, so that between the raising of a foot and the setting of it down, minutes of loathing passed. All right.
Pleasant stuff.
On that cheerful note, time to start discussing this chapter, huh?
Wonderful. This chapter starts right at the same moment the last one ended, in the dark. Remember that sudden darkness?
That's right.
And there was that moment we had from Frodo, that defiant hope, when he saw the sunbeam and, they cannot conquer forever.
Oh, that's right.
And that was a beautiful moment, wonderful hope. And then, boom.
Exactly. I mean, as soon as you have that moment, it's followed by that shuddering of a lamp, that instant full darkness. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you really have to keep that in mind, that has literally just happened when this chapter begins. And Gollum is right away, he's impatient and he's afraid, actually.
Yeah.
And he insists, we have to go now.
Mm-hmm. Right now.
This is not good. We need to get out of here. And Frodo does. He turns and he follows, but reluctantly, understandably.
Yeah, understandably indeed. Now, the text says that he turned his back on the west and then into the darkness of the east. And Tolkien capitalizes those directions there. Those capitalizations matter. We're not just talking cardinal directions. We're talking about the undying lands, the elves and the Valar and the Maiar versus Mordor with Sauron, the Ringwraiths and the orcs. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's away from the West and civilization and all that good and light and into evil, isn't it? And so they follow the road out of the trees.
Yeah.
Bends to the south after a little while and goes around the spur of the mountains that Frodo had seen. Yeah. And then goes back to the east again, but this time climbing upward.
That's right. Now, there is a topographical sketch in The War of the Ring, that's the 8th volume of the History of Middle-earth, that Tolkien himself drew, and it shows these bends in the road, the little bend to the south and then the bend back to the east, along with the hill. So you can sort of get this, topographical understanding of the way the lands are sloped.
Right.
It's a great representation of the slope as it climbs as well, and it's well worth taking a look at to get your bearings if you happen to have a copy of that handy.
Yeah, it is. And you know what else is helpful is Karen Winfonstad's The Atlas of Middle-earth.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Page 143 of that book has a map that covers basically from the crossroads to Cirith Ungol, and you can see, same thing you were just talking about it. You can see that bend down to the south and then the bend back to the east, and you can see how it's kind of going up into the mountains. Really, really helpful for getting your bearings in this next section we're going into.
100% agree, because the first few times I read this, I had a little bit of a hard time understanding. For example, we'll see later on that the road that they go up, the stairs, it's not like a 90-degree road that goes, perpendicular to the main road. It ends up essentially paralleling it just up into the slope.
Right.
So as they plod down the road, we're told their hearts are heavy, right? They can't even care about the danger they're in. That's interesting, isn't it?
It is. And, to me, I'm thinking, okay, so they're feeling apathetic, right? But to me, I link that to hopelessness.
I don't care. Sorry.
I don't care if they're apathetic. Shut up.
That's right. That's right.
But I think that's a symptom of hopelessness, isn't it?
I agree.
I'm not going straight to despair here. I'm not going to say that there's any reason to believe they're in despair, but there's definitely a hopelessness.
Well, it's almost a fatalism, I think, at this point, right?
Maybe so, yeah, because there's kind of an inevitability to this. Well, we have to do this.
It's going to be miserable. It's going to kill us.
Yeah, this is going to be terrible. We're going to die. We're going to fail.
Yeah, we talked about that before Frodo and Sam ran into Faramir. Frodo was very much thinking, we're almost done. Not in the sense that we're almost to our goal, but we're going to die. Right? We're not going to make it home.
Yeah.
Sam is the one who's been holding out hope for both of them. But here we get a specific mention of Frodo, right? We get his burden. And of course, that's the ring. It's not named here, but that's what this is. And it's pulling him down. And we get this interesting observation. He'd almost forgotten the weight of it in Ithilien. And we spent so much time in Ithilien, of course, we haven't really noted that. But now that sense of burden is growing again.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that he didn't feel the burden while he was in Ithilien?
I don't know. I've got some ideas.
I have an idea that I'll just throw out. I think,
Okay.
to me, I think it has something to do with Ithilien being the Garden of Gondor, right? We saw that description of it some chapters back. And I think that just surrounded by all this beauty of the natural world that he's seen in Ithilien, well, until recently.
Well, yeah.
I think he's had a little bit of recovery and escape here. I think he's had a break from his troubles because he's been surrounded by these fragrant smells and, this dryad loveliness, Tolkien calls it.
Oh, yes. The disheveled dryad loveliness. One of my favorite phrases. Yes.
Yeah. And that's kind of my main theory. I mean, I think there's other possibilities as well, but that's kind of the main theory I come up with. I mean, it's also possible that maybe it has something to do with the fact that the men who live here are ennobled men.
That's definitely possible. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one possibility.
I agree.
Could be something in Frodo himself. I mean, certainly right now, he's in the dark.
He is,
and
right.
That's not going to feel good. You're not going to feel hope when you're plodding along through the dark.
Especially now that they're heading this direction.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you hit on it when you talked about recovery and escape. I mean, that's definitely a big part of it. And I do think, I agree with you, that the disheveled dryad loveliness of Ithilien plays a role there. I know you sort of downplayed Faramir. I actually probably would include him there because I think his presence gave Frodo that peace of mind that enabled him to get a little recovery. Once he understood that Faramir wasn't going to take the ring.
Yeah.
It really put Frodo at ease, and he needed that. I also like what you said, though, about the land possibly being still ennobled. I'm thinking of Legolas when they're in Holland, and he says that much evil must befall a country before it wholly forgets the elves if once they dwelt there.
Oh, that's a good catch. Yeah.
I got to say, what about ennobled men? I mean, maybe it's a lot less time before the land forgets them, right? Because they're not certainly longeval elves. But you'd think that if we're talking about ennobled men, that maybe the land itself would also be a little ennobled in a way.
Well, and they do still dwell there, don't they? I mean, they're still there in Ithilien. We've actually got a mailbag question about this. What effect does, Faramir himself have on this? And, we'll talk a little bit more about that there, but I think you're right. I think men in general, I think there could be something to that. Yeah.
I hope so. I also think it's just a matter of geography, right? I mean, we're getting closer and closer to the completion of the task, and the closer that he sees that, the greater the sense of burden. We're drawing nearer to Minas Morgul and to the Witch King. I don't have any doubts that physical proximity to the Lord of the Nazgul has at least some impact on Frodo's sense of burden.
No, that's probably true. Yeah.
And that's got to be part of it.
And there could be just mundane geography too. Just like, now, okay, these are these mountains. I have to climb up into these mountains. And on the other side of these mountains is Mordor.
Yeah.
You're going to feel that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All the above, I suppose.
A, B, and C, yes.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, whatever the reasons or all of the above, now it is with a heavy heart and, as you said, a growing sense of his burden that he sees Minas Morgul.
Yeah.
And it's deep in a valley. There's this rocky seat with the walls and tower of the city of the Ringwraiths.
Oh my.
Not exactly something you're going to put on a seal.
No. Postcard's not going to be selling very well.
Welcome to Minas Morgul, city of the Ringwraiths. What would their motto be? I don't know, probably Ashkenaz Derbatuluk or something.
Probably something along those lines.
So yeah, there it is. There's the city. And while all the surroundings are dark, this is interesting. The city itself is actually lit.
It's lit, man. It is lit. But it's not lit with moonlight, right? Fair and radiant. And I wanted to touch on this before we move on too far. I loved the phrase, the imprisoned moonlight. Is that maybe a description of some sort of Gondorian magia, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know.
Imprisoned moonlight. Or is that just sort of hyperbole to talk about how, Minas Ithil sort of glowed with the light of the moon just because it was, white marble. And so it sort of reflected the moon really well at night. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I took that as kind of hyperbole. Like maybe they just had like really ornate windows that they used to have on it. Like, I don't know, like really nice stained glass windows or something once upon a time. And it used to kind of trap the moonlight.
Yeah.
Kind of a figurative sense of that. I don't see it as having been some sort of magia effect, but maybe.
I don't know. I think I'm with you. I just wondered because it was such an interesting turn of phrase.
It is an interesting, not the imprisoned moonlight welling through the marble halls of Minas Ithil long ago. It is a very interesting phrase.
Isn't it? It's certainly evocative. One can sort of imagine these moonlight glowing walls when it was not, looking like the stench of death and
terrifying, disgusting place that it is now. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I tend to think it's some sort of optical effect, glass and shining surfaces that just sort of like kind of reflect and capture the moonlight.
Yeah, or maybe even something in the stones itself.
Could be
Phosphorescent,
Oh,
with a little bit of light still in it.
maybe so. Yeah.
Like you find on your watch, right? Isn't that what you call that when you're glow-in-the-dark watch?
Phosphorescent, probably. Yeah.
Not that I have a glow-in-the-dark watch. I have a smartwatch now. Does anybody still wear real, actual watches anymore? Because we all have to wear these little fitness things that tell us how many steps we've taken and how many times our heart has beaten.
Somebody out there is going to be a purist and is going to have like a really cool. I love cool old watches. I love analog watches.
I love a real good watch. I really do. I actually have a couple, but I just never get to wear them because I'm always like, well, I won't know how many calories I burned if I don't wear my stupid Fitbit.
And then I can't talk to it like Dick Tracy. It's like,
Well, I've never done that.
Really? You don't? Oh, I make phone calls on my watch all the time, man.
No, Chief, I have my phone in my shoe. Sorry, Ed.
Isn't that Maxwell Smart?
Yeah. Sorry about that, Chief. You didn't catch that the first time.
I'm doing Dick Tracy. You're doing Maxwell Smart. That's hilarious. All right.
Boy. How much of that is actually going to get edited out? I don't know, but some of it probably will. So going back to the text, we get this description of the light. It's certainly not like imprisoned moonlight. It is paler. It's paler even than the moon in an eclipse. So it's really, really faint light.
Yeah. And it's also described as wavering, which kind of suggests like an unsteadiness, right? Like a kind of a shimmering, a flickering. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got this metaphor that compares the light to the stench of decay.
That's a weird comparison, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I think it goes with this next bit about it being described as a corpse light, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's finally described as a corpse light. So I think that's what they're leading to with that. And recall our discussion on that back in episode 231.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that as like, corpse lights are basically, or will-o'-the-wisps, I think they're called, corpse candles. They're caused by basically decaying matter and swamp gas. And that seems to match with, a noisome exhalation of decay. I mean, that's basically what causes a corpse light.
Yeah.
When that little bit of gas ignites. But it is very interesting to compare light to a smell.
It is odd, isn't it?
It's a very odd bit of synesthesia.
It's not a comparison you would normally see made. No.
No, not at all. But that's Tolkien for you.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Now, it is an actual light, but it's not enough light to see much, although they can see the black holes of windows.
There's just enough light to illustrate where there's no light.
Right, exactly, yeah. Just to kind of make out the shapes of windows, basically.
Yeah. And then I think in perhaps the creepiest thing that doesn't get explained at all, and I really wish it did, there's the revolving level at the top. I don't know, maybe when it was Minas Ithil, it was like the high-end restaurant.
They had a restaurant up there.
Yeah.
You could have dinner looking out over the plains of Gorgoroth. I mean, it's a total tourist trap. But
a revolving level. What in the world is this? That's creepy.
And it doesn't go 360 degrees, does it? It cuts an arc one way and then it goes back the other way.
Like a spotlight or something. Oh, man.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm imagining here, is something like a spotlight.
Yeah.
Again, I wonder if this is something that, Tolkien had some image in his mind from a sentry tower or something in France.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a creepy, creepy image, though. And you're right. It's the fact that it's revolving and that's never explained. That's just weird.
That is totally weird. I mean, we don't have any revolving levels at Minas Tirith, right?
Right.
I mean, wow.
We're not supposed to have that kind of technology in this world. So why is that happening? It is weird.
It is seriously weird. And understandably, the reaction of all three of them is frozen fear, really, right?
Yeah.
They're shrinking, staring up with unwilling eyes. Gollum recovers first. I think that's probably because he's already been here before. What do you think?
I think that's exactly why, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still weird to him, but at least he's seen it before.
Yeah, yeah.
And he knows enough to know that they need to get out of Dodge. I mean, he wordlessly...
He knows enough to know he knows too much.
And he wordlessly prompts them to move, drags them forward almost.
Yeah.
And we not only see their reluctant steps, right? But we see this very odd sensation of time seeming to slow.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, to the point where minutes are passing between footsteps, it seems.
Yeah.
Minutes of loathing. That's a turn of phrase.
That is a turn of phrase. Minutes of loathing. That's like speed dating.
I was about to say that's what she said, but I like your answer better.
Minutes of loathing. Only a few.
Oh, man, that's terrible.
Man. That is.
Oh, all right. Well, before we get back to the discussion, we want to make sure you know that when you finish listening to this episode, the talk continues all night long at the Prancing Pony Podcast.
That's right. Our amazing listener community keeps the conversation going in all of our social media spaces, from our common room on Facebook to our Reddit community, Twitter, and more.
On Facebook, just look for the Prancing Pony Podcast and be sure to follow the page and join the group for some great discussions.
And you can find us on Reddit at r/PrancingPonyPod. And we're also at Prancing Pony Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
And don't forget to check out our new podcast, the Rings of Power Wrap-Up, where we discuss, analyze, and speculate all about Amazon's television adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth.
We'll take deep dives into the lore behind the show. We'll talk about our favorite themes and characters and a whole lot more. So look for the Rings of Power Wrap-Up and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And check out our social media at Rings Wrap-Up for more.
And folks, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us by joining the Fellowship of the Podcast. When you do, you get a lot. You get an active Discord community, including live episode recordings like the one we're doing tonight, postscripts, episodes without digital ads, free merchandise, and a lot more.
Oh, so much more. You also get live Discord hangouts. You get a chance to be a part of our Questions After Nightfall episodes, or even join us as a guest in the North Wing.
That's right.
So check out patreon.com/prancingponypod to support the show and become part of the Fellowship of the Podcast.
The support we get on Patreon is what enables us to pour so much into the show, folks. Now, you can also help us out by giving us a rating and review over on Apple Podcasts. And now you can leave us a rating on Spotify as well. Finally, please recommend us to your friends.
Please do.
Well, Sean, I'm going to have you pick up. This is one of those sections in the book where it was very hard to find things not to read because there's so much happening. Even when it's just descriptions of where they're at, they're super important. So I'm having you pick up exactly where I left off.
All right, here we go. So they came slowly to the White Bridge. Here the road, gleaming faintly, passed over the stream in the midst of the valley, and went on, winding deviously up towards the city's gate, a black mouth opening in the outer circle of the northward walls. Wide flats lay on either bank, shadowy meads filled with pale white flowers. Luminous these were, too, beautiful and yet horrible of shape, like the demented forms in an uneasy dream, and they gave forth a faint, sickening charnel smell. An odor of rottenness filled the air. From mead to mead the bridge sprang. Figures stood there at its head, carven with cunning in forms human and bestial, but all corrupt and loathsome. The water flowing beneath was silent, and it steamed, but the vapor that rose from it, curling and twisting about the bridge, was deadly cold. Frodo felt his senses reeling and his mind darkening. Then suddenly, as if some force were at work other than his own will, he began to hurry, tottering forward, his groping hands held out, his head lolling from side to side. Both Sam and Gollum ran after him. Sam caught his master in his arms as he stumbled and almost fell right on the threshold of the bridge.
"Not that way! No, not that way!"
whispered Gollum, but the breath between his teeth seemed to tear the heavy stillness like a whistle, and he cowered to the ground in terror. "Hold up, Mr. Frodo," muttered Sam in Frodo's ear. "Come back! Not that way! Gollum says not, and for once I agree with him." Frodo passed his hand over his brow and wrenched his eyes away from the city on the hill. The luminous tower fascinated him, and he fought the desire that was on him to run up the gleaming road towards its gate. At last, with an effort, he turned back, and as he did so, he felt the ring resisting him, dragging at the chain about his neck. And his eyes, too, as he looked away, seemed for the moment to have been blinded. The darkness before him was impenetrable.
Wow. This scenery gets more beautiful every step we take.
It's lovely. It's such a happy, pleasant little stroll.
I needed this break, Sean.
I'm glad. This is making you feel refreshed, isn't it?
I needed a night away from fresh air and, nice flowers of spring. I needed to get to like death flowers and creepy revolving towers and mouth-shaped gates. And
it's not often recognized how scary Tolkien's writing can be when he wants it to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I mean, we talked about this back in the Barrow Downs, but this is another one of those that it's just some of the most terrifying stuff you'll ever read. I mean, he could have been a horror writer if he wanted to.
He really could have been.
Well, he could have been a Lovecraft if he wanted to.
Understated, right?
Yeah.
But the kind of thing that just sticks with you and makes you feel a tremendous unease. That's what's happening here, isn't it? I mean, you really are transported there with them and can sense this and get that same feeling of overwhelming terror.
Fear and terror and hopelessness. And it's not boo. It's not jump scares. It's just creeping terror.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, speaking of this terror, right, keep in mind, after they see this horrifying view, they have to keep walking towards it. And that's how they get to the bridge.
Yeah. And the road goes over this poisonous stream from Morgul and goes up towards the gate. Now, this gate is very interesting.
It is, isn't
It's described as a black mouth, and you might think this is a metaphor, but it's not, is it?
It is not just a metaphor. In one of Tolkien's own illustrations, which you can find in Hammond and Skull's Artist and Illustrator, Tolkien drew a front view of the Gate of Minas Morgul. I got to say, it is a deeply disturbing image of a mouth complete with teeth and eyes on either side of the yawning mouth. I mean, look it up, folks. It is disturbing. And we'll also get the same description, also including the eyes, in just a few paragraphs as well.
Yes, we will. And what we get right now is a description of the lands about the riverside. Finally, we get to these flowers, right? These meads with these pale white flowers. But as we've been discussing since the beginning of this episode, these are not very nice flowers at all.
No.
They are horrible of shape, like the demented forms in an uneasy dream.
Oh.
That's terrifying, like surreal in their terrifying twistedness.
Oh.
And of course, the sickening charnel smell.
Oh, that is such a description, that sickening charnel smell.
And yet there's a real world inspiration for this, isn't there?
That's exactly right. Speaking of that sickening charnel smell, Flora of Middle-earth tells us that it is very likely that the inspiration for this plant, I love the way they just say this plant. I want to say this stinking, terrible, gut-wrenching, make you throw up in your mouth a little plant, is some member of the Araceae, probably a species of the genus Arum, which is a largely Mediterranean genus. Some of these species, Flora tells us, have white flowers or inflorescences, clusters of branching flowers, which can be strangely shaped, a strangeness that in this passage is heightened and described as demented and horrible. Arum species produce the unpleasant odors of rotting flesh because their inflorescences are pollinated by small flies that are also attracted to carrion. So this aspect of their biology also closely matches Tolkien's description. Interesting.
Very interesting. And Judd and Judd even speculate on the origin of the flowers in universe. They say it is likely that the white arum flowers of the Morgul Vale were once solely beautiful, just as Minas Morgul had once been fair and radiant. The tower, under the power of the Lord of the Nazgul, had become corrupt and horrible, a place of death and sorcery. Arum flowers, like most of their relatives in the Araceae, are poisonous, and they are often associated with death, as are the species of the similar genera Xanthodeschia, I hope I got that right, arum lilies, and Amorphophallus, which are called voodoo lilies, corpse flowers, and giant arums, yet another connection with Minas Morgul. These flowers may have a history similar to that of the orcs, which, if elven tradition can be trusted, may have been descended from elves who long before had been abducted by Morgoth, then twisted and ruined. Thus, we see in these arum flowers yet another example of the power of evil, here represented by Sauron and the Nazgul, to corrupt nature. So that is fascinating, the speculation that these might have been beautiful, sweet-smelling flowers at one point, and yet they've been twisted and corrupted by Sauron, similar to the way that we see, Morgoth do this with orcs or trolls or anything like that.
That's interesting, to not just twist some sort of, sentient creature, but to literally be twisting flowers.
Yeah.
Bioengineering flowers.
Anything living, it seems, evil can twist and corrupt.
Yeah.
And I have to say, have you ever smelled a corpse flower or any of the flowers in this family?
No, I've specifically avoided that. I know there are a few of them, and you're like, come and smell this. Why?
Yeah. One of the museums here in Texas I went to with my kids recently, and I was like, I just got to try it. And it was a corpse flower, and it was disgusting. I mean, it really smells like rotting flesh. It was horrible.
I mean, it's like somebody sticks their finger in your face and says, smell my finger. No, I'm not going to do that either. I'm just not. I know better.
I did it because it's like, come on, you only live once and you gotta experience life, right?
Yeah.
You gotta try
true.
it.
All right.
And it was terrible. I'm not going to go around smelling fingers. You got to try it once. You got to smell a corpse flower once, man.
Fair enough. All right. Maybe next time there's one nearby. Oh.
I mean, it really is a flower that smells like death. That's That's what we're saying. This is a real thing. Flowers that smell like death, and that's what this is.
That is just nasty. Well, the bridge goes from one mead of these lovely flowers to another mead of these lovely flowers over a river that is equally lovely.
Oh, yes.
Which you'll get to in a little bit. I just want to point out these terrifying carved figures standing at the head of the bridge, corrupt and loathsome.
Yeah. Human and bestial. So there's some that are man-shaped, there's some that are animal-shaped, but all corrupt and loathsome.
Ugh.
Ugly. And though the water that's passing underneath the bridge is quiet, it's steaming. And yet, even though it's steaming, it's not hot.
Yeah, this is weird.
It's described as deadly cold. It's not even lukewarm, man. It's like freezing cold.
Deadly cold.
This is seriously creepy.
But it's steaming.
Cold steam.
Everything is wrong about this place, isn't it?
Right.
That's what I'm getting from this.
Everything is wrong. Everything is twisted, corrupted. Wrong is a very good way of putting it.
The statues are corrupt and just wrong. The fact that the river is freezing cold but steaming is wrong. The fact that it's silent, which a river shouldn't be, is wrong.
That's true.
The fact that these flowers are beautiful and yet at the same time twisted and perverse and also smell like death is wrong. I mean, this is really interesting.
That's absolutely right. Man, you nailed it. Everything about this place is just capital W wrong.
Capital W wrong. That's a good way of putting it. You're right. It's just everything about this place is announcing itself as completely not right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not like the kids say, like, oh, that's just so wrong on so many levels. Like, no, this place is just seriously horribly wrong.
Should not be. That's what I mean by wrong. This should not exist. It should not be like this. Yeah.
Unnatural.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
So speaking of unnatural, Frodo begins to experience what, frankly, is a mental assault of some kind.
Yeah. Understandably, I guess. I mean, his senses are reeling. His mind goes dark. And then he's actually under a very direct attack because he's under some sort of mind control.
Yeah.
This is like seriously the ring at work. He's actually moving towards the bridge as though some force were at work other than his own will.
Exactly. I mean, look at the words we get, right? We get tottering and lolling. It's like he's a puppet on strings at this point.
Yeah. These are not natural human or hobbit movements. He's like being pulled against his will.
He's not in control of his physical body at this point even. No.
Right. And then Sam and Gollum go after him, and Sam catches him.
Yeah.
Just in time, too.
I know.
Because he's on the very edge of the bridge.
Ooh, Gollum whispers, by the way. It's the first time that he's spoken in a while. He whispers, not that way, but even the whisper seems terrifyingly loud to him. So Sam, kind of recognizing that, just leans into Frodo's ear and concurs with Gollum's opinion, which must have been hard for him to do.
He doesn't do that lightly.
No.
For once, I agree with him, he says.
Yeah.
And then Frodo has to force himself back into control. He has to force himself to take his eyes away from Minas Morgul.
Yeah, that's right. And then we're told that he still has this desire, this fascination to run towards the gate. And then when he finally does turn away, he starts to feel the ring fighting him.
Yeah.
Fighting that turn. And then we get another moment I want to point out. We've talked about this before, when he seems to have been blinded.
That's right. We talked about a blindness like this back in episode 226. This was the second part of The Taming of Smeagol.
That's right.
And this was back when, after the Nazgul flew overhead, Frodo experienced complete and total darkness.
Yeah.
And we talked about whether this was a natural blindness or a power of the Nazgul. We pointed out 2 other close encounters with Nazgul that resulted in temporary blindness, and this was one of the ones we talked about. So it does seem like this is a supernatural darkness or blindness that's associated with both the Ringwraiths or perhaps the Witch King himself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And Frodo's possession of the ring. It's these 2 forces combined.
I think so. I mean, I know that one of the incidents of blindness we talked about is the temporary blindness that Merry suffers on the Pelennor fields before the decisive fight there with Éowyn. But the incident here and the incident near the marshes when Frodo was blinded, right before the marshes, I should say. Both of these, he's the only one who's described as being blinded. And I do think it's both the presence of the Ringwraith and his possession of the ring that makes him more subject to that blindness. Sam was able to see Frodo, but Frodo couldn't see Sam. And, the Ringwraith had gone just as close to Sam as he had to Frodo, but Sam didn't have the ring.
Right.
And I think that burden is exactly why he's more sensitive to it here.
It's a power the Nazgul have and a sensitivity or a vulnerability that Frodo has. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. In D&D terms, he's rolling at disadvantage. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Yeah, he really is.
All right. Well, we're going to skip ahead just a couple of sentences, and then you're going
to
pick up.
Literally had to skip
We had
what
to
I
skip
could,
something.
man. So hard to pick stuff to skip.
And you're going to go ahead and pick up there.
Not far from the near bank of the stream, there was a gap in the stone wall beside the road. Through this they passed, and Sam saw that they were on a narrow path that gleamed faintly at first, as the main road did, until climbing above the meads of deadly flowers it faded and went dark, winding its crooked way up into the northern sides of the valley. Along this path the hobbits trudged, side by side, unable to see Gollum in front of them, except when he turned back to beckon them on. Then his eyes shone with a green-white light, reflecting the noisome Morgulsheen, perhaps, or kindled by some answering mood within. Of that deadly gleam and of the dark eye-holes, Frodo and Sam were always conscious, ever glancing fearfully over their shoulders and ever dragging their eyes back to find the darkening path. Slowly they labored on. As they rose above the stench and vapors of the poisonous stream, their breath became easier and their heads clearer. But now their limbs were deadly tired, as if they had walked all night under a burden, or had been swimming long against a heavy tide of water. At last, they could go no further without a halt. And apparently I can read no further without a halt.
Indeed. I'm going to go back to the part that we skipped, right? Because we've got another simile in that passage that compares Gollum to a creature.
That's right.
Now, it's not specifically a dog this time, at least. It's just a frightened animal.
That's right. This is the first time that it's not a dog.
Is it the first? I wasn't sure if it was the first time that it was specifically not a dog.
I don't know. I may be making that up.
So frequently he's compared to a dog specifically.
Exactly.
Now it's just a frightened animal, yeah.
Well, not surprisingly, Gollum is in a hurry. He's disappearing already. And Sam, helping Frodo, is following as quickly as he's able, but he is still falling behind, isn't he?
He is. But now they find the path.
Yeah.
It's through a gap in the wall next to the road, and the path actually parallels the main road. So again, they're able to stay off the main road. And this path climbs above the valley floor and goes up the side of the valley.
Yeah, and I highly recommend looking up Fonstad's atlas map here, as it helps you see the way these two roads work together. Like I said, there was a time where I thought it was a road perpendicular to the main road, and it really isn't. It's very much a parallel up into the mountains. It's just that this one doesn't stay in the valley floor like the main road does. It climbs up above the valley floor into the height of the Ephel-Duoth. Right. Exactly.
And so they begin walking up this path with Gollum in front, and then Sam and Frodo next to each other behind.
Yeah.
And they can only see him. It's so dark that they can only see him when he turns to look at them, and they see his green eyes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Now, it does say green-white light, which is why I have to admit this text is a little ambiguous. We do see the green shine in Gollum's eyes, right? The green light when Gollum is in control instead of Smeagol.
Usually a bad sign, yeah.
Very much a bad sign. But the text does say that these could be kindled by an answering mood within, meaning the green light we're used to, or they could just be reflecting the noisome Morgulsheen.
Yeah, and I guess the fact that they're called green-white is meant to evoke that ambiguity in a couple of different ways.
That's what I'm thinking. It seems meant to differentiate it from the traditionally evil green that we get.
I think we're meant to have the same question in our minds that Frodo and Sam do.
I think you're right. The same uncertainty.
Is that the murder light, or is that just reflected
light? Is that just
light?
reflected weird death light? Yeah.
Right.
Either way, it's not a good thing.
No, it's not good for sure.
No. And though we have the same uncertainty that Frodo does, the good news is we don't feel like our lives are in the balance.
No.
So that's
true. And because they do feel their lives are in the balance, they are super aware of this.
Yeah.
I mean, they are always conscious.
Oh, very much so.
Of that green-white Morgulsheen, and also of the dark windows that are above them.
Yeah. Anything could be looking out from those windows. You wouldn't see them.
Mm-hmm.
So the path begins to climb now, and there's an advantage to that, right? It's easier to breathe. It doesn't stink as much up here.
Well, that's nice.
Follow your nose, Pippin.
Always follow your nose.
Exactly. Great stuff. Yeah, it doesn't stink as much up here, which, it's like outside of your booth on a Tuesday night. It doesn't smell as bad out there.
Tuesday night is usually taco night. Not today.
Oh, good.
Usually.
Good.
Yeah.
You're going to have enough charnel smell already to not have to worry about that.
There's way too much charnel smell in this episode already.
Seriously. Even any charnel smell is too much, let's be honest.
I mean, I did go and sniff that corpse flower that one time. But
yeah, that's your problem.
So it doesn't stink as much up there. They're able to breathe, but they are becoming unnaturally tired.
Yeah, that's interesting.
This is more tired than they should be, as if they had walked all night under a burden.
Mm.
And they're getting to the point where they can't go any further without rest, and that's where you stop.
Right. But we're going to keep going a little bit before we get to the next reading, huh?
We are. So they stop on the top of a large stone, and then they get a view, don't they?
And it's a description that's pretty important to take note of because it helps you really get the lay of the land here, right? We get a bay in the side of the valley. So you can see as the valley's going east up into the Ephel Duat, there's a bay off to the left side of the valley. And this little path, nothing more than a mountain goat path, really.
Yeah. A really twisted, demented form of a mountain goat, I'm sure.
I know. With red eyes and big sharp horns.
Yeah.
And this path goes across the face of the mountain and it keeps going up and up. Eventually it just disappears beyond sight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's terrifying. We're going there. Well, where's there? I don't know. It just keeps going. Yeah.
That's where we're going. Yeah.
Fun times.
Yep. Can't wait.
No, can't wait. Well, actually, we are going to wait because if they're going to get there, they've got to rest for a little while. At least that's what Frodo says, and that's where I'm having you pick up.
All right. I must rest a while, Sam, whispered Frodo. It's heavy on me, Sam lad. Very heavy. I wonder how far I can carry it. Anyway, I must rest before we venture on to that. He pointed to the narrow way ahead. Shh! Shh! Hissed Gollum, hurrying back to them. Shh! His fingers were on his lips, and he shook his head urgently. Tugging at Frodo's sleeve, he pointed towards the path. But Frodo would not move. Not yet, he said. Not yet. Weariness, and more than weariness, oppressed him. It seemed as if a heavy spell was laid on his mind and body. I must rest, he muttered. At this, Gollum's fear and agitation became so great that he spoke again, hissing behind his hand, as if to keep the sound from unseen listeners in the air.
Not here, no, not rest here. Fools, eyes can see us. When they come to the bridge, they will see us. Come away, climb, come.
Come, Mr. Frodo, said Sam. He's right again. We can't stay here.
Well, that's weird. Sam's agreed with Gollum twice in one day. So
I know.
I think we know something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So Frodo simply has to rest now. He cannot go any further. And he says flat out, it's heavy on me, very heavy. But notice he just says it. He doesn't even want to name the ring, does he?
No, I don't blame him for this.
No.
It's one of those situations where just naming it in this place, you're afraid that it's going to call the Ringwraiths to you just by naming it.
Not to mention naming it in front of Gollum.
Well, that too.
But he knows. Yeah.
But I think it has a lot to do with the place.
I think it does too.
But he does wonder how far he can carry it. I mean, doubt really seems to be overtaking him at this point. I mean,
this isn't like a creeping doubt. This is an overwhelming
this is like,
doubt.
I don't know if I can do this, guys. And he points to the path up the mountain and says, I can't go up that without rest first.
Pointing to that thing.
I can't do that.
I'm not doing that, man. No.
Yeah.
No.
That's like, when you're skiing and it's like, I'll go down the slopes, but I'm not going up that.
No.
Yeah.
That's right. I'll go down that double black diamond, but don't you try to get me on that bar lift. That's not going to happen. I won't even do that, actually.
I've never been skiing, so I don't know.
I've never been skiing either.
I'm
just making it up as I go, man. I just know I see those lifts and I think, no. If they've got an escalator, I'll go on that, but I am not getting on that thing where you just kind of hang on and hope you don't fall on your way up.
It sounds kind of fun. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Skiing accident before you even got onto the slopes.
Seriously. So Gollum, of course, tries to get them to be quiet and to get moving.
To no avail.
Of course.
I mean, he can't. I mean, Frodo's not just tired.
No.
I mean, he is beyond tired.
That's right.
He cannot move.
Yeah. It's another supernatural impact on him, isn't it? As if a heavy spell had been put on him.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Is there a heavy spell having been put on him? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think this is much like the effect that the three hunters felt. Remember when they felt like this physical presence holding them back, slowing them down when they were chasing the orcs?
I remember that. And we talked about that. Is that magic? And we were like, yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was. And I think this is too. Now, obviously, this is not something that's targeted at Frodo, because obviously if there's anybody there that knows he's there, then they're coming
after him. Right. This is a general spell that all of his people are immune to, if you will.
Yeah. And it could be the ring, too. I mean, we've already seen
That's true.
The ring very physically pull in one direction when he's trying to pull in the other. And maybe that's what's happening here, too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
So it's definitely supernatural, but Gollum is really anxious to get moving. Again, he's been here. He knows the danger they're in. He wants to get this over with as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
He's so anxious to get moving that after, a few shush moves, he actually uses words for the first time since the bridge incident.
That's right. Well, I like, though, the fact that he's trying to cover his mouth like an NFL coach on the sidelines. All right.
He's got the
play chart in front of him.
He's got the play sheet up in front of his mouth.
The cameras will pick it up, man.
That's hilarious.
I mean, that's the picture I'm
see
getting.
Him wearing his Motorola headset and everything.
Hissing behind his hand, Oh. So he explains, look, we can't rest here because, hello, we can see the bridge. That means anybody on the bridge can see us. Yeah. This isn't the bug bladder beast of trowel, a beast so mind-numbingly dumb that it thinks that if you can't see it, it can't see you. No, this is very much a dangerous place to be, and we have to climb higher.
That's right. And yet again, as you pointed out, Sam agrees. And again, I'm sure he's not liking this. He's
keeping track. And it's like, man, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah, he doesn't want to agree with Gollum more than he has to, but he's like, nope, he's right again. Yep. We got to get out of here. And
yeah,
Frodo sees reason. He agrees to try to get up, and he does manage to stand up.
Just barely.
And then you're going to pick up there.
Oh, yes, I will. But it was too late. At that moment, the rock quivered and trembled beneath them. The great rumbling noise, louder than ever before, rolled in the ground and echoed in the mountains. Then, with searing suddenness, there came a great red flash. Far beyond the eastern mountains, it leapt into the sky and splashed the lowering clouds with crimson. In that valley of shadow and cold, deathly light, it seemed unbearably violent and fierce. Peaks of stone and ridges like notched knives sprang out in staring black against the uprushing flame in Gorgoroth. Then came a great crack of thunder, and Minas Morgul answered. There was a flare of livid lightnings, forks of blue flames springing up from the tower and from the encircling hills into the sullen clouds. The earth groaned, and out of the city there came a cry. Mingled with harsh, high voices as of birds of prey, and the shrill neighing of horses, wild with rage and fear, there came a rending screech, shivering, rising swiftly to a piercing pitch beyond the range of hearing. The hobbits wheeled round towards it and cast themselves down, holding their hands upon their ears. As the terrible cry ended, falling back through a long, sickening wail to silence, Frodo slowly raised his head. Across the narrow valley, now almost on a level with his eyes, the walls of the evil city stood, and its cavernous gate, shaped like an open mouth with gleaming teeth, was gaping wide. And out of the gate an army came. All that host was clad in sable, dark as the night. Against the wan walls and the luminous pavement of the road, Frodo could see them, small black figures in rank upon rank, marching swiftly and silently, passing outwards in an endless stream. Before them went a great cavalry of horsemen, moving like ordered shadows. And at their head was one greater than all the rest, a rider, all black, save that on his hooded head he had a helm like a crown that flickered with a perilous light. Now he was drawing near the bridge below, and Frodo's staring eyes followed him, unable to wink or to withdraw. Surely there was the Lord of the Nine Riders returned to earth to lead his ghastly host to battle? Here, yes, here indeed was the haggard king whose cold hand had smitten down the ring-bearer with his deadly knife. The old wound throbbed with pain, and a great chill spread towards Frodo's heart. Well, now.
All right. Well,
now you understand why we couldn't cut anything, right? I mean, that had to be read in its entirety.
Powerful imagery here.
Isn't it?
Terrifying,
breathtaking,
and powerful.
And terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, every bit of it. And we'll talk about every bit of it, but let's go back to the beginning.
Yes, we will. So, yeah, right before you started, Frodo got to his feet, but it's too late now.
That's right. It's too late because, it's
too late, baby. Yeah, it's too late.
Okay, I went Def Leppard. You went Carole King.
I did, yeah.
There's a problem here. There's a misconnect.
I mean, look, I love Def Leppard. Don't get me wrong, but that's a great song, Carole King.
It is. I know it is. Of course it is. It's Carole King.
Yeah.
All right. It is too late. It's absolutely too late. And now we get both the noise and the pressure that they'd experienced in Ithilien. That is such a fascinating...
Yeah.
Oh, the phenomenon that is.
Yeah, just the sheer force, right? Like there's this shockwave of power of, well, let's see. It's the rock quivering and trembling.
Yeah.
It's the rumbling noise rolling and echoing. And then it's the red flash beyond the eastern mountains. This is Mount Doom erupting.
But this isn't Savior of the Universe.
No, it's not. It's kind of the opposite, actually.
It really is. It's pretty much the end of the universe. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man. I love the description, though. Unbearably violent. And then we get all these incredibly alliterative moments. I think notched knives was the first one that jumped out at me. But once I caught that, I started seeing it all over the place. Did you catch that as I was reading it?
Yeah, I caught it as you were reading it. I caught the notched knives. I caught sprang out in staring black.
Livid lightnings.
Livid lightnings. Yep, you're right. Forks of blue flame.
Yeah. Gleaming teeth, gaping wide.
Yeah.
The screech, shivering, rising swiftly.
Harsh, high voices, screech, shivering, shrill.
Piercing pitch. It's so many.
You're right. There's a lot of alliteration. Well, again, remember that special we did way back about the musicality of Tolkien's language? And
that's right.
And he does it when he wants to really put us in the action, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens here. We are right there in the thick of it because this language is just so sonically evocative.
Oh, what a phrase that is, Sean. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Sonically evocative. Yeah.
Thank you.
Man, it really is. It's the way he uses parataxis as well. The little almost sentence fragments. And Minas Morgul answered. It's the same thing. Like that kind of gives us the clue that he's going into this description that we better pay attention because every bit of this is dense. Something we need to be paying attention to.
Take your time and appreciate it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then finally we get this huge crack of thunder.
Oh, my goodness. And that seems to be the end of the message, right? Because we get this amazing and Minas Morgul answered. But if you ask me, that's a pretty loud notification. I think maybe the Ringwraiths need to turn the ringer down or put Minas Morgul in the do not disturb mode.
Whose phone was that?
Seriously.
Kamul, was that yours?
Kamul, was that yours?
We told you.
Just silence it, man.
It is a message. And
yeah,
this is creepy. Minas Morgul answered. And then it's not just sound, right? We see livid lightnings. Now, livid means dark bluish gray.
Like a bruise, right? I mean, I've seen bruises described as livid.
Yeah. These are blue lightning, as you might expect, but it's kind of a dark, dim blue. It's not like a really bright blue.
It's not a natural one.
Right.
No.
And the lightning is described, this is interesting, it's described as going up from the tower and hills.
Yeah.
And up into the sky.
That's right. Many of you might think of lightning as being something that comes from the sky down to the ground. And it is true that most lightning is downward moving, called cloud to ground. Even then, there are a couple of bits of it that go up from the ground. You get something called a leader that moves up and meets what's called a stepped leader, which is coming down from the cloud. That creates the conducting path for the flow of the charge. And then that triggers a current that flows upward through this channel. And that's the super bright part of the lightning. So you will actually see that. So you'll see a bunch of it coming down. You probably won't see the leader going up because it's too quick, but then you'll see the current that goes up. That's still cloud to ground though. But there is also ground to cloud lightning. And that begins, and I think this is what we're looking at here because it is the Tower of Minas Morgul, that begins from tall ground-based objects like towers and skyscrapers. It happens because you get these intense electrical fields that concentrate at the tip of a structure, especially when there's in-cloud lightning discharge up above.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Very cool stuff.
So it tends to happen when there is lightning in the sky.
And it'll start from like the top of the Sears Tower or the Empire State Building, and it'll go up. And it has to do with just the intensity of that electrical field that concentrates there.
That's fascinating.
Really amazing stuff, yeah.
I think we need to have a new intro segment called Meteorology Fair.
or meteorology fair. I just, I've kind of taken it on myself to do the science stuff, like the
great,
decibels of, how loud were the horns of Barad-dûr. And
that is super cool.
It all started because I was getting so tired of Legolas being able to see around the curvature of the earth.
Yeah, that's fair.
And yet I know there's, distortion and atmospheric. You can still see stuff that's beyond the horizon in theory, little bits and pieces if the atmosphere is right.
Sure,
like
yeah.
Not 600 miles.
Refractions and things like that. But yeah. No, that's fascinating. Thank you for that. That's really cool.
Oh, my pleasure. Love doing that stuff.
So then after the lightning, we get this incredibly disturbing cry. And it's described in such detail that it's just absolutely giving me chills. So it's actually a combination of 3 terrifying sounds.
That's right. Not one of these is a good sound, but all 3 of them combined, oh man, we're done. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a harsh call of a bird of prey, a shrill neigh of a raging horse, and a rending screech.
That's the one that does it. The rending screech. Yeah.
That keeps going up in pitch beyond the ability to hear it.
Beyond 20,000 hertz. I'll just point that out.
That's really high.
Yeah. That is very high. I mean, dogs are still hearing it and they're really miserable about it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing. We may sometimes give the Jackson films grief for the things they get wrong. I'm looking at you, Faramir. But did they or did they not absolutely nail this evil, terrifying sound, including that screech that kept going up?
Including the screech that goes up past the point of hearing. Yes, absolutely. They nailed it. Yeah.
Terrifying.
That's exactly what I hear. And they got it absolutely
And I'm
right.
okay with that, right? I mean, there are times where I'm disappointed that the movie has sort of supplanted my own imagination. This is not one of those moments. This is exactly the sound that we're reading here. They did a fantastic job with it.
Yeah.
And of course, it included the voice of Jackson's wife and one of the co-writers, Fran Walsh. She was the one screeching as the main layer in the effect.
Well, I mean, rumor has it was the sound that she made when she was told they'd be shooting the Silmarillion next. Right?
I heard that.
That's what I heard too. But no, seriously. I mean, Jackson started as a horror director, right? Yeah. And he does horror so well. And yes, he absolutely nailed this bit.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, this scene in general, I think he did very well.
Mm-hmm.
And that sound effect especially.
Fantastic stuff. Not surprisingly, the hobbits turn to that noise, but then throw themselves down and cover their ears, right? I mean, you turn around because it's such an incredibly loud, terrifying sound. You can't help but feel like you need to see where it's coming from because it's obviously a sign of danger of some kind.
Yeah.
But the minute that you're experiencing how loud it is, you just cover your ears and drop to the ground. This is awful. Stop, drop, and roll, man.
Yeah.
But after the cry fades, Frodo looks up and now he's looking straight across the valley to the walls of the creepy city.
Yeah. And then we see again that gate, right? That open mouth with gleaming teeth.
Oh,
again, described very literally. That's the shape of it.
Mm-hmm. Man.
And then an army comes out of it.
Oh, yeah, because we're not done yet. Yeah.
No, this isn't good.
An army clothed in black, rank upon rank upon rank. And they're marching quickly, but they're marching quietly.
Yeah. Clad in sable. I just want to throw out that sable. I mean, you called it out, right? They're clothed in black. Sable is just heraldic terminology for the color black.
Yeah.
Which, little word nerdery on that. It's assumed to be related to the color of the fur of a species of marten called a sable. It's basically a mustelid, which is related to weasels and badgers and otters and things like that. In reality, sables are actually more brown than black, but for whatever reason, they dyed them black or something in the Middle Ages, and so they called black sable in heraldry.
Many of my nicer paintbrushes back when I used to play 40K or the Games Workshop version of Lord of the Rings, the good ones were made from sable, though I hope no mustelids were harmed in their making.
Oh, really? Okay. Made from sable fur. Okay.
Red sable, I think, actually were most of mine, yeah.
Interesting
stuff. Well, with cavalry in the lead, as you would expect, an army like that, you're not going to put the cavalry in the back.
Nope.
And one rider at the head, who's also in all black, but he has a helm that gives off perilous light.
So he's not quite Nunmo black.
Nunmo black.
Because he's got the light in his helm.
I'm also thinking he's like Desiato Hot Black, right? Who's spending a year dead for tax reasons.
Oh, yeah. From Disaster Area, right?
That's right.
The band Disaster Area.
The band Disaster Area. That
the loudest band in the universe.
Set a new record for loudest band in the universe. I believe like a few planets had to be evacuated to run that concert. Yeah.
Actually crashed a spaceship into a star.
That's right.
For part of their concert. Yeah.
Man, Hot Black Desiato. I think I got the name mixed up. Did I call him Desiato Hot Black? I did.
I think you did, yeah, but I didn't catch that.
Desiato, hot black. Like Bond, James Bond.
Yeah, there you go.
You knew what I was saying.
I knew what you were saying, yeah. Yeah.
That's our second Hitchhiker's reference tonight, isn't it? We'll see if we can get another one in.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I'm surprised we didn't get a Hitchhiker's reference in when we got to places where there's no tea time.
Seriously, you're right. We're not in decent places.
We got through that without a single freaking Hitchhiker's reference.
That's brilliant. I love it.
Like Arthur Dent hanging out at the crossroads like, well, I wish there was tea time around here. Yeah.
But we probably won't get any Hitchhiker's references in the actual text that you're about to read. You're going to go ahead and finish off this section of the text.
All right. Even as Frodo told himself, don't panic.
I was wondering, why are you taking so long? Oh, you're reaching for a Hitchhiker's reference. Well done. All right.
Took a while. Even as these thoughts pierced him with dread and held him bound as with a spell, the rider halted suddenly, right before the entrance of the bridge, and behind him all the host stood still. There was a pause, a dead silence. Maybe it was the ring that called to the Wraith Lord, and for a moment he was troubled, sensing some other power within his valley. This way and that turned the dark head, helmed and crowned with fear, sweeping the shadows with its unseen eyes. Frodo waited, like a bird at the approach of a snake, unable to move. And as he waited, he felt, more urgent than ever before, the command that he should put on the ring. But great as the pressure was, he felt no inclination now to yield to it. He knew that the ring would only betray him, and that he had not, even if he put it on, the power to face the Morgul king. Not yet. There was no longer any answer to that command in his own will, dismayed by terror though it was, and he felt only the beating upon him of a great power from outside. It took his hand, and as Frodo watched with his mind, not willing it, but in suspense, as if he looked on some old story far away, it moved the hand, inch by inch, towards the chain upon his neck. Then his own will stirred. Slowly it forced the hand back, and set it to find another thing, a thing lying hidden near his breast. Cold and hard it seemed as his grip closed on it. The vial of Galadriel, so long treasured and almost forgotten till that hour. As he touched it, for a while all thought of the ring was banished from his mind. He sighed and bent his head. At that moment the Wraith King turned and spurred his horse and rode across the bridge, and all his dark host followed him. Maybe the elven hoods defied his unseen eyes, and the mind of his small enemy, being strengthened, had turned aside his thought. But he was in haste. Already the hour had struck, and at his great master's bidding he must march with war into the west. Soon he had passed, like a shadow into shadow, down the winding road, and behind him still the black ranks crossed the bridge. So great an army had never issued from that vale since the days of Isildur's might. No host so fell and strong in arms had yet assailed the fords of Anduin. And yet it was but one, and not the greatest of the hosts that Mordor now sent forth.
Well, how's that for a little context?
Yeah, that's unpleasant.
I mean, wow, okay.
Like, man, that's a big army. Sauron's like, I got a bigger one.
Yeah, hold my beer.
Hold my beer.
That's right. The army coming out of the Moranon's like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, going back to the beginning of that passage, oh, man, this is no ordinary cavalry general. This is the Witch King. Frodo's eyes are drawn to him, and he knows that this is the Lord of the Nazgul.
Yep. And we're reminded that this is the one who stabbed Frodo on Weathertop. But Frodo does not need a reminder.
No, he's got one built into his shoulder, yeah.
Yes, he does. He feels it. That wound is painful, and he feels a chill, right?
That's right. And this connection between the two of them, between the Witch King and Frodo, this isn't just a one-way thing where Frodo feels it. The writer senses something as well, and he stops right before the bridge. And, the text speculates that the ring could be calling to him, that he sensed a power within his valley.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is interesting because, he turns and he sweeps his surroundings with his sightless eyes, right? We know they can't see in the natural world. So what is he possibly seeing? Is he seeing the ring itself? Could he see the ring itself? Or could he see someone who was wearing the ring? Well, I guess we know he could see someone if he was wearing the ring, right? Because we saw that on Weathertop.
Well, yeah. If he was, exactly. If somebody was wearing the ring, which is why I think we get that strong command that Frodo experiences to put on the ring, right? He's trying to force Frodo to reveal himself.
But he doesn't seem to actually see the ring. I mean,
No.
if he saw the ring, it would be like the only thing he could see. It would jump out at him like,
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he could see the ring itself, even if it wasn't on Frodo, well, then he would know where it is.
Then he would see the
right
ring.
now.
Yeah, he would see it where it is. So he's not seeing it here, but he is sensing it.
So it's just a vague sense of, like the text says, like a power in his valley. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, though, because it says for a moment he was troubled sensing some other power within his valley. That, to me, makes me think that the power within his valley is actually something else. Maybe he's
vial
sensing
of Galadriel,
maybe
perhaps.
sensing the vial. Yeah, he's sensing something good.
That's a good point. What a catch.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was just reading it just now that I realized that, like he sensed the ring and then he's troubled because he senses something else.
I think you may be onto something, because then the text, of course, has Frodo grab onto the vial later on. I think you're onto something there.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
That's, crazy. It's just,
isn't it?
I don't know. It's interesting to get this sort of from the Nazgul's point of view. We're not totally in his head here, but we do get enough of he was troubled. So that's very interesting.
Yeah. To see the Witch King troubled is a good thing. Probably not something he's very accustomed to.
Absolutely.
Frodo, on the other hand, is deeply troubled. So much troubled that he can't move.
Yeah.
He's compared to a bird being approached by a snake. Honestly, the thing I get here is the deer in headlights simile. It's not quite as powerful, and obviously it's a little more anachronistic because there are no headlights.
True.
That brings us back to the whole express train coming out of the tunnel, simile that we get in The Hobbit.
I don't know. There's the big rotating search tower, so who knows?
That does feel so weird, doesn't it?
It does.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. But you're right. It is that deer in headlights thing. He's just completely frozen.
He's absolutely frozen. Yeah.
Yeah. And he senses a command to put on the ring.
Mm-hmm.
This might answer our question from earlier, huh?
Yeah.
He's feeling a command with pressure behind it, but this time he's not tempted even slightly.
No.
He's got the power to resist it here, or sort of.
Initially he does, yeah.
I guess spiritually, right? His will is not tempted.
No, his will, and you're right. His body is going to be forced, but that's another story.
Right.
For now, his spirit isn't tempted. This isn't like in the Shire when he was tempted to put on the ring and he had to fight that temptation. There's no temptation here. He knows full well that if he put this thing on, he would be betrayed in a heartbeat, and he is not strong enough to stand up against the Witch King. Right. He tried that before. It didn't work out so well.
No.
And the Witch King only had a few other of his buddies with him, not an entire army. So even though he feels this pressure as an external force and not something that he wants to do, he still ends up in this weird moment where his body is not his own. He's watching his own hand moving slowly towards the chain. And again, it's like that puppet thing we talked about earlier.
Yeah. It's like,
isn't it?
You can imagine like jerky movements. Like this is not natural motion. This is, again, he's being forced to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. Earlier, I think it was teetering and lolling. Very much you get this sense that he's being manipulated physically. His body's being manipulated.
There's almost this out of body sense of this. He's like watching this happen without doing it himself.
All right.
Until finally he is actually able to exert some control over his own body. He's actually able to fight back, and he's able to bring his hand back to something, not just something, the vial of Galadriel.
Oh boy.
And grabbing on to the vial of Galadriel banishes thoughts of the ring from his mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
He seems to have succeeded in this huge exertion of will.
Oh, what a battle this is.
I love this so much. I love the fact that it's the vial of Galadriel. I love that it's that light, that hope.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's the opposite of the ring. It's the anti-ring.
It is. Yeah. It's the anti-ring.
And touching it in this moment, in this place with this power, immediately sets the Wraith King off. By the way, Wraith King, this is the only time, I did double check, only time he's called by this title in the text, the Wraith King.
Oh, that's a good catch.
It's just an interesting time. I'm like, Wraith King? I don't think I've ever seen that before. And then I did a little search. I'm like, oh yeah. Oh,
interesting.
Not a Wraith King. So, he starts up again. Now, the sense is that he knows he's defeated, but does he? He turns, he spurs his horse, the host follows him, and then the text tells us that maybe the elven hoods defied his unseen eyes, and maybe the mind of Frodo turned aside his thought. But whatever the case, he was in a hurry.
Yeah.
So do you think he knows he was defeated, or was this just more about not finding the thing that was calling to him, or not finding the ring if he sensed that? I
think it's the latter. It's that moment when you're like, wait, did I hear something? Did I see something? With our normal human senses, we would, we would stop and, what was that? Did I hear something? Did I see something? And you look and you can't see it, or you can't tell what it was, and you're in a hurry, so you move past it. I think he sensed something, couldn't pick out exactly what it was, and then it's like, well, sorry, I got to go. Sauron's commanded me. I've got to go march out to the west. I think that if he knew that there was something there, if he actually sensed enough to know that the ring was right there, I think this is game over for Frodo right here.
Oh, absolutely. 100% the game is up.
There's no reason to march to war.
No.
If the ring's right there.
If I've got the ring, I don't even need to bother.
Right.
It's over. It's just done.
Right.
Game over, man. Game over.
I was waiting for that. So, yeah, I think he sensed it, but I mean, fortunately for Frodo, he wasn't able to fully articulate what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, whatever the reason, he's also in a hurry, so he's got to move on. I mean, if he had time to hang out and investigate, again, it might also be game over if he had more time, but he doesn't.
Sure. Even an hour of searching around and he's done. There's no way that he could stay hidden.
With an entire army that can cover this ground pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly indeed. And the rest of that army can actually see in the visible light spectrum.
Right. Yeah. So fortunately, he's in a hurry. Again, a little catastrophic moment here.
Yeah, it is.
Because otherwise, there's so many ways this could go wrong for Frodo. But he does.
He exactly. This could go sideways in a lot of different ways. So many potential disasters.
Yeah. But he does leave, and he takes his army with him.
Yes, he does. And we're told that an army this large hasn't come out of this place since Isildur was king. Now, a reminder, Isildur shared the rule of Gondor with Anarion from Second Age 3320 after the fall of Numenor until Second Age 3440, so 120 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that shared rule ended during the siege of Barad-dûr when his brother Anarion was killed. That's when he became the High King of Gondor for about 3 years until he died in Third Age 2.
Right.
We're now in Third Age 3019. So it's been more than 3,000 years since an army this large has issued from the gates.
And that does make a certain kind of sense, right? Because there hasn't been a war this big since then, right?
Well, yeah, that's fair.
There hasn't been a major world war in Middle-earth. But also, think about how, we talk about like the heroes of the First Age and the Second Age are always greater than the heroes of the Third Age, right? We talk about this being a world in
diminishing
decline.
World, right.
Right, exactly. This isn't diminishing. This is bigger, and
the West is diminishing.
The West
Sauron
is diminishing.
not.
Sauron's power is increasing. That's a very good way of seeing it. Yep.
Yeah.
Age of man is over.
That's right.
The age of the orc has come.
That gruesome elephant orc.
Oh, man, he's nasty.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's exactly what's going on here. And while this is bigger than any army that has ever attacked the fords of Anduin, well, it's just one of many armies that's going out right now.
One of many and not the biggest.
And it's not the biggest. So, like you said before, man, that's some powerful context here.
So great a mailbag has never issued from that pub since the days of Isildur's might. No letters so fell and strong in arms had yet assailed the fords of us. Sean, what does Barliman have in the bag for us tonight?
Well, with a wonderful segue like that, I hope it's something great.
I hope
let's see.
Yeah.
All right. Matan K in Israel asked for our thoughts on a speculation regarding one of the moments we encountered in tonight's episode. Matan says, in the beginning of the chapter, The Stairs of Cirith Ungol, after Frodo, Sam, and Gollum pass the crossroads, Frodo feels the burden of the ring, and he notices that he hadn't felt it when they were in Ithilien. Why, during the time in Ithilien, did Frodo not feel the burden? Yeah. Do you think there's something special in Ithilien? We talked about this a little bit earlier. Matan says, after all, by logic, the feeling should be increased in Ithilien because that land is in the shadows of Ephel-Duath. I had a nice idea, Matan says, but I'm pretty sure it is incorrect.
That's what I say about most of my ideas.
Me too. You're not alone, Matan.
I had a nice idea, but it's probably
We have
incorrect.
great ideas that are just completely wrong all the time.
Exactly.
Matan says, Faramir is the captain of the Rangers in Ithilien. Maybe because he was able to overcome the temptation of the ring, that land has less effect on the ring and Frodo. I don't think that's the answer, Matan says, because it doesn't make sense that a temporary captain of a land would have that effect. If it was said that Frodo stopped feeling the burden after he met Faramir, I could believe that his rejection of the ring brings hope to Frodo, that the ring doesn't control all humans, and that stopped the feeling of the burden until the Morgul Vale.
Okay.
Anyway, Matan says, I would like to hear your thoughts.
So would we.
So would we. I mean, we talked about this a little bit.
We did. Yeah.
I wanted to bring it up in the mailbag here just because Matan did ask a really good question.
That's a good question. No, it is.
It is. I mean, I think we talked about some things that could be early on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
recovery.
Ithilien being the Garden of Gondor, him having some recovery.
Yeah.
I generally think it has more to do with Frodo and with Ithilien than it has to do with Faramir. I mean, you did mention, Alan, that, you know, you think that Faramir could have something to do with it. You want to remind us what that was a bit?
Less about the fact that, oh, well, the ring doesn't control all people, so, you know, that gives me hope. And more, Faramir sort of provided a safe place to have that recovery, a safe place to have some escape.
He's protecting the land, right? I mean, he's protecting the land in a very kind of temporal and mundane sense. He's guarding it.
Right.
And he's killing evil things. It's not like he has this kind of power over the land that Matan speculates and then says, no, that's probably not right. Now, I agree. That's probably not right. I don't think that Faramir would have that kind of like Arthurian, as the ruler goes, the land goes kind of thing.
Right. I don't think it's Faramir, but I do think there might be something about the land being ennobled in a way because of its residents, the way we talked about, like with Holland, and the fact that, you know, a land has to fall into evil for a very long time, or, you know, a long, long, long time has to have passed for a land to forget the elves. And I think maybe something similar is going on here. I also caught something in the text that kind of grabbed my eye here. When you go back to the beginning of the chapter and we read that passage, as soon as the great crossroads had been passed, the weight of it, almost forgotten in Ithilien, had begun to grow once more. So two things that catch me there. As soon as the great crossroads had passed, that tells me there's a geographical trigger, that this has a lot more to do with location and proximity to Minas Morgul than anything else. And the other thing is that the weight of it had almost been forgotten in Ithilien.
So it wasn't completely forgotten.
Almost more of an out of sight, out of mind. He's been distracted by Faramir and by being with these guys and dealing with Gollum.
He's had good company. Yeah. He's been drinking wine, having meals.
Yeah, he hasn't had to think about it as much. But now he's looking up this valley at Minas Morgul. He knows he's headed to Mordor now. It's very, very much front of mind.
Yeah.
So the burden comes back.
No, that's a good point. I mean, there's something to be said for simple distraction, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I do it all the time. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just pure escape in the most mundane sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. I mean, I think it has something to do with the land itself. And I like the idea that maybe he's just distracted. He's forgotten his troubles.
Yeah.
And now that he's back in the thick of things.
Now he remembers them. It doesn't mean that they ever went away.
Right.
That's the thing, right?
That's right. There's any number of theories you could think of. I mean, there's others.
Well, sure.
Other thoughts that I've had at times. I mean, since Matan has shared one of his theories that he quickly rejected, I'll share some of the ones that I've rejected. Like, I mean, you know, I've thought, well, what else is going on in Middle-earth at this time? You know, maybe Sauron was distracted before because he was creating the darkness, so the ring was dormant. I mean, I don't think that's what's happening. But I mean, there's lots of other things that are happening in Middle-earth that could also be factors here.
Well, I think, you know, maybe we touch on it later in the chapter. Not so much that the ring was dormant, but at this moment, the ring is becoming much more sensitive, much more active because the Witch King is making his move. I mean, you know, we're talking about just a couple of hours before the army comes out of the gate. Not even that.
Right.
When he starts to feel this pressure, right?
Yeah.
This burden. So the armies are gathered in the courtyard, in the keep or whatever, and they're getting ready to head out. So a lot is going on right there at Minas Morgul.
Yeah.
Behind those walls.
The ring is going to be very active in those circumstances.
I think so. So. Yeah. So that would certainly explain maybe an increased burden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Gandalf was sending out good vibes.
Maybe.
I seriously don't think that one.
Now you're on your own, Frodo.
Yeah, it's like, well, he gets to Minas Tirith. He's like, oh, I've got my hands full here now. You know.
That's right. I'll have to save that Faramir guy.
Yeah. No, I really do think it has everything to do with Ithilien. I like your theory, too. I like the idea that he was just distracted for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just kind of forgetting about his worries and his strife.
You mean the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Yeah.
So, anyway, great question, Matan. Thank you very much.
That is a good one.
Alan, I think we've got time for one more, don't we?
I think we do. And it's another fun question about adaptations. Josh in Lynchburg, Virginia asks us, If you could change one thing in the canon of Tolkien's Legendarium and one thing in the movie adaptations, what would they be?
Oh, boy. This is a fun question.
I don't know. One thing in the films that I can change? Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, let's see. So he said in the canon of Tolkien's Legendarium first. So let's talk about that first.
Okay, fair enough.
And that is hard because I love the Legendarium as it is. I mean, it's hard to come up with something.
Feels sacrilegious, doesn't it? Change something in the written Legendarium. Who are you,
Maybe
man?
a little bit. I mean, that's implying that it's perfect. I don't think it's perfect, but you know.
No.
But yeah, I do think it's tough. And I guess if I had to pick something, it's got to be something about my boy Eärendil. Yeah, totally. I would have Eärendil definitively kill Ungoliant instead of the some have said she ate herself business.
Yeah.
Now, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that doesn't count because Tolkien technically did write that version of the story.
I was going to say that sounded vaguely familiar. Yeah, it did.
It's just, he had different versions of it. It's just, that's not the version that made it into the published Silmarillion. So I guess it depends on what you consider the canon, which is a can of worms I'm not opening right now.
Boy, I'm not touching that one.
No. So, okay. If that one doesn't count.
Oh, this is just your way of getting two in.
Stop. Come on. Of course it's my way of getting two in.
I'm not an idiot. You can get a lot of things by me, Sean, but you're not going to get this one by me. No,
well, only because I do it all the time. I'm so predictable.
That's good, though.
I think I would have Maedhros not throw him into the chasm with the Silmaril.
Okay. I like that.
You know, just have him like toss the jewel in and just stick around for a little while longer. Maybe wander around with Maglor for the rest of the time. I don't know. I'm bummed out about Maedhros' death. I think he kind of got done wrong by that ending. So
that's fair.
I would love to see that change. What about you?
Well, like I said, a change in the written Legendarium does seem a little sacrilegious. I mean, like, who am I to say you should change something? Maybe it would have been nice to see Fëanor repent, but maybe we should leave the speculation in the realm of the possible.
Let's not go crazy here. Come on.
I'm going to go with Frodo not having to pay such a heavy price after the completion of his quest. I think as I was working on this episode, I was struck with the burden that he's carrying and everything. And I was just thinking about how he goes through all this only to get home and be completely shattered by this experience. He doesn't seem to find the joy or happiness that Sam does or that Merry and Pippin do. And basically what's left there in life in the Shire is not much life at all. Look, I'm grateful he's healed in Amon, and I know there are a ton of reasons why we have to see the cost that Frodo pays. I know that in a literary sense, but I just wish he didn't have to pay it. It's just hard to see.
I get that.
Frodo suffer.
In a literary sense, it really is beautiful.
It is.
And I think it's a wonderful
It's incredibly
ending.
poignant. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, now it gets easier. What about a change to the films?
Well, I know you're going to answer that you would not have Faramir take Frodo and the ring back to Minas Tirith.
Ding.
So I can't take
that's
that
pretty
one.
clear, right?
I guess I'll go back to Éowyn.
Okay, of course. Your other favorite person, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I wish that she'd gotten more of that awesome speech on the battlefield.
Oh, yeah.
But no living man am I. You look upon a woman, Éowyn I am, Éowyn's daughter. You stand between me and my lord and kin. Begone if you be not deathless, for living or dark undead. I will smite you if you touch him.
I can't believe you basically just yada, yada, yada at Éowyn.
Because I'm trying not to steal my thunder for next season.
You think I'm going to let you read that? No, of course I will. You just about had a heart attack.
If you want
when I
me
said
in next season, you are.
You want me after the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, you will let me read that. That is such a great, great speech. Though I keep wondering why the Lord of the Nazgul just doesn't be like, all right, shut up already. You've talked enough. I'm going to smack. I mean, got you monologuing.
And say something really misogynistic, just like, oh, here she goes again. The woman's talking,
That's right. Oh man, that terrible.
Is the Witch King talking. That is not me.
That is the Witch King. You're right. That is absolutely right. No.
I mean, look, I Am No Man. That was punchy and
sure.
Cool scene and everything. It just didn't have the strength or the heroism that her speech had in the original.
Totally fair. I agree 100%. Though I like the way you delivered it. So stand between me and my lord and kin. If you be not deathless, when you're talking dead, I will smite you if you touch him. That was a brilliant reading. Sean.
I can't do a full dramatic reading of it right now. We don't have time.
I know. You kind of took the wind out of my sails. I mean, you meant
That's
to.
what I'm here for.
That was your intention.
Yeah.
I would indeed have my man Faramir remain the honorable, noble man that he is in the books.
Of course.
Not only would I not have him take Frodo in the ring, I'd be sure that he too got his awesome speech, which I will not shortcut. I will not yada yada. I would not take this thing if it lay by the highway. Not were Minas Tirith falling in ruin, and I alone could save her so, using the weapon of the Dark Lord for her good and my glory. And war must be while we defend our lives against a destroyer who would devour all. But I do not love the bright sword for its sharpness, nor the arrow for its swiftness, nor the warrior for his glory. I love only that which they defend, the city of the men of Numenor.
Well, see, that's fine because we've already gotten to that part of the book, and so you're not stealing your own thunder.
Okay, fair.
That's more like a recap. That's like a clip show.
I would have loved to have seen David Wenham do those lines.
It would have been amazing.
He would have been fantastic
absolutely
doing
amazing.
those lines. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, yes, I was trying to take the wind out of your sails. That's why I did that.
Congratulations, sir.
I also agree with you 100%. I mean, that's why I wanted to let everybody know that I probably would pick that one if you'd have let me.
Yeah, which I wouldn't.
And if I had a chance to pick more than one again, like I always do.
Like you always do, indeed. Well, folks, that wraps it up for another episode of the Prancing Pony Podcast. But be sure to join us again next week when we use the Stairmaster at that new gym nearby.
Oh, yeah, the one that leads to the other Stairmaster.
And the tunnel.
Right, yeah.
Which is, by the way, I have to say, it's a pretty cool gym. It has a tunnel. I've never been at a gym that has a tunnel.
It's
not a common feature.
They're all going to have them soon. Just you wait. Well, folks, we want to take a moment to thank the team that helps make this show better. That's our research assistants, along with our Barlowman, Becca Davis, producer Jordan Rennells, social media manager Casey Hilsey, event and Patreon community coordinator Katie McKenna, and website guru Phil Dean.
And speaking of the website, please be sure to give us a visit there at theprancingponypodcast.com. We've got show notes, hilarious outtakes, Prancing Pony ponderings, and our online storefront where you can get all sorts of PPP merch.
And you're definitely going to want to check out our library page. You know we love the books here at the Prancing Pony Podcast, and we have provided links for you to get nearly every book we mention on the show. And we do get a few pennies from the purchases you make there, so thank you.
And we also want to thank some more really important people, our patrons at the Kierdance contribution tier. I'm going to start with Demay in Alaska as usual, James in Virginia, Tamsin in Minnesota, Chad in Texas, Lance in New Jersey, Paul in Colorado, Jerry in Texas, Bruce in California, Mario in Utah, Seth in Texas, B in California, Joseph in Texas, Kathy from North Carolina, Lori from Washington, Carlos in California, and Brian in the UK.
There's also Ned from Connecticut, Jerry from Washington, Joe in Washington, Erwin from the Netherlands, Lise in Switzerland, Dylan in Australia, Ben in Minnesota, Anthony in Texas, Dorwin in Michigan, Karen in the UK, Zaksu in Illinois, Jim in Maryland, Brian in Texas, Sarah in New Jersey, Daniel in Hungary, and June in Ireland. Thank you all so very much for your support. I cannot believe how long that list is getting.
Thank you. I know the list gets...
yeah.
Look, I'm just going to say, I know we read this list every week, and we should, but we don't say every week how amazingly grateful we are, and we really... I just want to make sure nobody ever thinks this is pro forma. We're just reading a bunch of names. These are the people that really help make the show better. Everybody on our Patreon does, but obviously we can't name all 600 people. So,
yeah.
But thank you to all of you, including those who weren't named.
Very well said. Thank you all so much for your support. And everyone listening, please be sure you don't miss an episode of the Prancing Pony Podcast. Subscribe to the show through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your favorite podcast app is.
And one last thing, as always, don't forget to send your thoughts, comments, and, well, most of all, your pale white flowers, the ones that don't smell like death, that is, to Barlowman at theprancingponypodcast.com. And if you want a chance to have your actual voice heard, you can send us audio of you asking your question by visiting podinbox.com/prancingponypod and record your question for us.
Just make sure to still send the question to Barlowman for us, please.
That's right.
Now, Barlowman's a lot more reliable lately, but we do get a lot of mail, so we'll get to you as soon as we can. And hey, your question or comment may be featured on a future episode.
That's right. As always, though, this has been far too short a time to spend among such excellent and admirable listeners. But until next time.
Farewell, friends.